Okay, these are my Premier League 26-27 predictions. In this predictions, there might be some controversial picks, so let me know down in the comments what your predictions are and if you agree or disagree with them. Also, subscribe and like the video for more content. Enjoy the video. Okay, so this is basically what we're starting with. We've got the relegation, 18 to 20th, 14 to 17th, 9 to 13, 6 to 8, then 2 to 5 to Champions League, and then the Premier League winner. I think 20th place, Hull City. With Hull City, I think actually they have. I do think because normally what this year you do have the Premier League coming back from the Premier League from the Championship is they go straight back down. With Hull City, I do think that might be the case because I do think other teams who are in the Premier League just have that bit more quality. But Hull might do a surprise like Sunderland have done. But I think with Hull, I don't see it. But I do think that they will have an okay season. Like, I'm not saying they're going to have a Derby season like they did and put in a record low Premier League total, but I do think they have a good season. 19th place, I actually think might be slightly controversial, is Coventry. I have put Coventry 19th only because, I'll actually explain why, because 18th as well is going to be Ipswich. I've put Ipswich 18th only because I think Ipswich have had a better transfer window. Of course, Coventry won the Championship. Like Coventry will be good as well, but I just think some like Ipswich have actually. I've looked at their transfer business and they've actually done okay transfers. So that's why I think Ipswich will finish ahead of Coventry. But I think these two will be slightly close. Of course, that does mean the three who have come up will go straight back down. I'm not a fan of seeing that. I do like teams who come up stay up. But of course, we've seen that last season. We have clubs who were the Championship have stayed in the Premier League. So. Okay, and now we are moving on to 14th to 17th. So my 17th place, I am going to go with. This might be slightly controversial, but I know other people have been putting them around this range, and that is Sunderland. I generally see Sunderland having a similar season than Sheffield United did when they came up to the Premier League. Do you remember that one season where Sheffield United had that really good season when they came back up to the Premier, and the following season they just got relegated? I do see Sunderland having that type of season. They're not going to get relegated because I think they do have enough quality to survive in the Premier League now. But I do think they will not have as a good of a season as they did last season. Like even towards the end of last season, we did see them slightly drop off in form. But you never know. They might do better. Now, 16th, I am going to go with Fulham. If I can move them. There we go. Fulham is 16th. The reason I've gone Fulham 16th is because I think they've made a lot of changes. Of course, they've got a new manager in. Arbeloa, of course, the former Real Madrid manager. He hasn't done Premier League managing before. So, of course, it's kind of unknown kind of how he's going to perform in the Premier League. But also, they've lost some really big players like Raul Jimenez. He's gone back to Wolves. But I do see the Fulham. There's too many teams around Fulham who have either approved or either have just stayed the same. So they already have a solid foundation. But with Fulham, it's kind of unknown how they're going to perform this season. So that's why I've put them 16th. And now 15th. It's a very similar position than Fulham, and that is Palace. Literally same reason as Fulham. They've lost big players. They've lost their manager, and even towards the end of last season, we see them just dip in performance after losing all these players, and we know Glasner was leaving. Palace didn't do that well towards the end of the season. That's why I put them down here. They're lucky, to be honest, that there's so many teams in a similar position, and also with the Championship teams who've come up. Because if that didn't happen, I generally think they could have been the West Ham of this season, getting relegated. Same with Fulham. So they're kind of lucky that there's other teams around them who are in a similar position, to be honest. But Palace, you never know. They might do well, but we don't know. But I'm going to put them there. And now, 14th place, I have gone with Bournemouth. I've gone with Bournemouth only because, well, it's literally the same pattern. They've lost big names, players, and they've lost their manager. And also, they are in European football. So I think they're going to have a lot going on football-wise. And also, they've lost big names and a manager who, of course, the manager's at Liverpool now. So, of course, he must have been a good manager if Liverpool won him. So, realistically, I see Bournemouth not having a great season in the Premier League this season. So, I think they might struggle. So, of course, that's now the bottom, the kind of up to 14th done. So now we're moving on to 13th place. This is where it could become a bit difficult. 13th place, I'm actually going to go with Newcastle. Newcastle actually have too much going on at the moment. Well, Eddie Howe's gone. They've lost Gordon. Of course, Gordon has gone to Barcelona. I will say quickly about Gordon is he wasn't worth that much money to go to Barcelona, but you know, they've lost Gordon now. Basically with Newcastle, it's literally another unknown team now this season. Like, we don't know kind of where they're gonna finish, but I do think, from what, I'm not a Newcastle fan, but I'm looking at kind of the current situation, and I feel like they've gone backwards, not forwards. So I've had to put them lower only because I don't think they're going to be as good as last season. So I had to put them 13th. 12th place. I mean, this is where it becomes a bit, because I think even Newcastle involved in this. I think this is going to be very close between these teams, but I've actually put Brentford finishing 12th. You might be thinking I've put them lower, but for some reason I was actually looking at this and going, I was actually struggling with this the most. Even I actually struggled with the mid-table more than the title and like the top 5 Champions League. I put Brentford here only because I just thought 12th place, who's going to finish 12th, and I just thought Brentford. I don't know why. I just think, like, they had a good season last season, but I just think this season, I don't know why. Honestly, this is the one team I don't know why I put here, but I've just thought Brentford. And that, I'm just going to stick with it. I will say as well is they do have a good team, so I think this is going to be where they are going to, they won't finish any lower than this. It'd be higher. I don't see them finishing 14th. It'd be 13th or higher. That's why I put them there 12th, because I think other teams, I have reasons why I've put them high in comparison. But with Brentford, I couldn't think of a reason why they could have gone higher than the other teams, so I've had to put them there. And now, 11th place, I've actually put, if I can put him, 11th place, I've actually put Leeds. I've put Leeds 11th place only because I actually think they've done a good job with transfer business this season. I'm currently recording this a week before the Premier League starts, so they've of course now got Trafford in goal, and I think that's a big signing, because that also sets them up not just for this season but for future seasons. But I think Leeds have actually done quite a good job transfer wise, and I do finish them, that will give them a lot of confidence. I do think they'll finish 11th place, but yeah, I think Leeds are actually going to be one of the surprises of the season. Of course, I think other people put them quite high as well, so it wouldn't be a surprise, but it'd be the biggest improvement to last season, well, one of anyway. So that's why I've put them 11th. And now 10th place, I have gone with Nottingham Forest. I put Nottingham Forest 10th is because I feel like they could be higher in this, but I put Forest 10th only because this is their first season with Glasner, and I just think there's other teams around them who have kept their manager and already have a solid foundation. And I think Glasner, don't get me wrong, I think Glasner will do a good job, but I think next season, not this season. But the thing with Forest is, and Glasner is, I do think he will do a good job. That's why I put him 10th, and they could be higher, but I've just thought, let's keep it safe with Forest for now, and I put him 10th. That's my only reason in it. And honestly, I think they will finish higher than this, but I've literally had to put them here only because I'm trying to be like, maybe they might struggle to begin with, so that's why I put them 10th. Now 9th place, I'm going to go with Brighton. The reason I put Brighton 9th is because one thing Brighton's always good at is replacing players who have left. So they've lost some big names. They've lost Van Hecke, and they have lost Danny Welbeck. Of course, Danny Welbeck, he was going towards the end of his career, so of course he didn't play all matches, but he was big in that team, and I think that could be a big loss. But they've also they've lost Van Hecke as well. Van Hecke was a good centre-back. He's gone, but I feel like they've made good replacements. Of course, I don't know much about the people they replaced, but Brighton have always been good at replacing players they have lost. They've always been good at that, and I think they will do a good job. I've had to put them... I've just realised I put them in the wrong category. They are here. They are 9th. But I've had to put them here only because I think there's teams above who are left, I think, still kept hold of their players and have put in a good foundation But also Brighton have done that as well. But I've put Brighton ahead of Forest because I feel like Brighton they've already got a core team. But Forest, they've made too many changes recently. Changes which are of course better, but I do think Brighton might do okay. I feel like this would be very close, especially with Brighton, Forest, Leeds, and another team I'm about to mention a bit later on. I feel like that's be very close. It could be either way. Now, 8th place. So you might be thinking, there's one team who I've not listed, and you think, why have I not mentioned them yet? And that is Everton. I've actually put Everton 8th place. You might be thinking, why put Everton 8th? I'm a West Ham fan, and what David Moyes can do with a team who, let's be honest, like West Ham, I'm a West Ham fan. Like Moyes, actually, I would say when he first got us Europe, he overachieved. Of course, he had players like Declan Rice, but the fact he managed to get us to that point, I think Everton are in a similar place. Like Everton and West Ham right now, I would say, of course, I think West Ham had a better team at the time, but Everton, very similar. I would say, realistically, they've got Ndiaye and Bowen. Of course, I think Bowen's better, but they're in a very similar situation where they've got that one player, and I think Ndiaye is that player. And also, he's very defensive-minded, David Moyes. He's a very defensive-minded coach. He's always been like that. And he's got actually good defenders. Even last season, they were putting in good performances defensively. And I just think this season, that might be enough to get an 8th. But, yeah, they've also brought in good CDMs. They've got Norgard. They've got, I forgot his name. Is it Hackney from Middlesbrough now? They've got these 2 good CDMs. They've also got good cover. Like, well, Garner might start over Hackney, but they've got good CDMs. And they've also got good defence as well. And I just think 8th place. And they've got Ndiaye, set pieces. He's literally a goal scorer. And I do think as well, Beto and Barry, I think will have a better season as well. So I think one of them will become good. So that's why I've got them 8th. I know I've put them way too high, but I just think that's my one risk. I have to go, what's my risk going to be? Everton. Because I just think Everton's going to have it's a shame they couldn't get Grealish back. Of course, he's injured. He's only a loan. I feel like if they had Grealish, this was definitely going to be nailed on 8th place. But Everton's my risky one, and I do think Everton will have a good season. I'm seeing other people putting them like 15th, 16th, and I'm thinking, yeah, could do. The thing with Everton is they're going to have a really good season, or there's going to be like 16th. But I just think Everton's going to have a good season, just because I think Moyes will be able to do a good job. And I know what he did at West Ham, and I think he can do it similar here with Everton. 7th place, I am going to go with Aston Villa. I think with that Villa is the only teams left above, I think, are in a better position than Villa are going to be. I think Villa have lost too many players. They've lost Rodgers, they've lost Tielemans. I think those are 2 big players they've lost. And I think Villa are already around this range, and I do think they're going to stay. I don't see them improving on what they've currently done. That's why I've had to put them 7th. I think 7th is a good result for them. They might want to finish higher than this, but I can't put them higher. And they might do. But in my prediction, I just cannot put them higher than 7th. 6th place, I am going to go with. This might be a very controversial one, and I know this is going to be probably my most controversial one, but I've just got a feeling this is where they're going to finish. And that's Man United. I've had to put Man United 6th. The thing with Man United is, I do think they're finished higher, but I don't think they've done enough transfer business in comparison to the teams around them. They brought in Tielemans and Santos, which I think, they're okay. I think with Santos, it's still a bit unknown because he didn't really play much at Chelsea, and now they're asking him to play for Man United. I don't know. Tielemans, good signing, but I don't think they've done enough. And also with Man United is they tend to, at some point during the second season with the manager, tend to go backwards. I think Carrick will do a good job, and I'm not blaming Carrick for this. I think Carrick will do a good job, but I just think with current Man United, they haven't improved much. They've also got players back like Rashford, but it's still, we don't know what's going to happen with Rashford. Is he going to stay or not? But that's why I feel like this is going to be a controversial one. I've had to put Man United 6th. And now 5th place. I actually did have another team originally, but now as I'm recording this, I'm actually going to make a last minute change. Just because I don't know why, I've just been talking in this video and I feel like I needed to. I feel like the way I've been talking is I'm very much in the mind of if a team makes too many changes, it might lower them. In this case, this is what I've done. I don't know why, but it's going to be very close between these 2 teams, but I'm actually going to put Spurs 5th. You might be thinking, well, that's actually quite high for Spurs. But I actually think Spurs will actually have a really good season. Like, even towards the end of last season, of course they finished 17th, but De Zerbi didn't put them 17th. He actually came in and fixed that team towards the end of the season, and actually made them look good, made them actually look like a team who could compete. That's why I put Spurs 5th, and they've also brought in some really good players. They brought in Robertson, they brought in Senesi. Of course, Senesi was at Bournemouth, did a really good job. So I have put Spurs 5th, which I think you say to a Spurs fan last season, I think they'd be happy with 5th, to be honest, and I think they could even be 5th or 4th. It's a toss-up between two teams. In the 4th place, I have gone with Chelsea. I have gone Chelsea 4th because they've brought in, of course, Xabi Alonso, and he seems to be doing some... He's made a lot of signings, to be honest. He's brought in Welbeck, and he's brought in Jordan Henderson, which, of course, I think are very too experienced signings. Of course, I think that's the one thing Chelsea struggled with, is they didn't have much experience. Like, sometimes you've seen some of the stuff happen on the pitch where they had arguments of who's going to take a penalty. I think now you've got Jordan Henderson, especially, of course, a big leader. I think he'd be able to stop this stuff happening. I think as well, Danny Welbeck, of course, he did a good job at Brighton. He can be a player who can come off the bench, make a couple starting games and score goals, to be honest, because that's also another thing you need as a striker, is to score goals. So I feel like, and they've also put in Morgan Rogers as well. Of course, he had an okay season last season, but I think with Chelsea, with Cole Palmer, Morgan Rogers now, I think they're going to have a really good season. So I have put him 4th. And now, 3rd place, I am going to go with Liverpool. I have put Liverpool 3rd, and I think this is a good season for them. If they get 3rd place with a new manager, they don't have Salah anymore, but of course, with Salah, he didn't really play much last season, but I think Liverpool will have a good season. New manager, 3rd place. There's not much to say about Liverpool because I do think 3rd place is going where they're going to finish, but I think that's a good result for them. Now it's between 2nd and 1st. Of course, there's one obvious winner you can go with, but I'm actually not going to go with the obvious winner. My winner of the Premier League, I'm going to say the winner, is going to be Man City, which means Arsenal's going to finish 2nd. There's a reason behind this. I think what we're looking at here with Man City is very much how Liverpool were when they lost Klopp and brought in Slot. I think that's going to happen again. But the fact is, they've got Maresca, but Maresca is walking into a really, really good Man City team. Like we've seen what Haaland did at the World Cup. I think he's going to put in the same amount of numbers as he did with Norway. He's walking into a really good team, like Slot did when Klopp left, and he won the title first season. Like, I think it's exactly what's going to happen again. And also with Arsenal, I think they're going to want to win the Champions League. So toward the end of the season, they might have a blip in form. They might not perform best. And I think that's when Man City will capitalise and win the Premier League. I do think it will be between these two teams. Honestly, I just wanted to be a bit different because I think, of course, I think Arsenal are probably the favourites to win. But I just thought, no, let's be a bit different. I think Man City, like I said, I think they're follow a very similar pattern that it did with Liverpool a couple of seasons ago. And I just think with Arsenal, it is tough. But I think if Haaland wasn't there, I would have gone Arsenal. But the fact Haaland is there at Man City, I think that would be enough. But those are my predictions. Let me know down in the comments what you think, if you agree or disagree. What's the biggest one which you would change in this? Like, what's the one opinion you massively agree with, and what's one opinion you massively disagree with? Also, if you feel like it, put down in the comments your 1st or 20th predictions as well. Could be interesting to see what you guys think as well. I think that would be really interesting. But I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope I didn't upset your team too much. Like, of course, if you support, for example, if you support, if you're a Bournemouth fan, I am sorry. If you're an Everton fan, I hope you're happy with my prediction. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.